أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي ربي زدني علما اللهم فقهنا في الدين آمين. السلام عليكم.
Walaikum assalam.
How are you?
I'm good, alhamdulillah.
Good, alhamdulillah. So we will start and the students will join later maybe. So inshallah we will start because the time has been started. Alhamdulillah. So okay, so we have completed our story about Musa alayhi salam and the sage. So now today we are going to learn about Zulkarnain, the story of Zulkarnain. So inshallah we will go ahead and read it. These are the verses. They are starting from ayah, the verses 83 through to the towards the end, inshallah. So alhamdulillah, then we will be done. Then we will be, there will be interesting thing I will do with you. So it will be, my turn will be finished, then your turn will be start.
What?
Yeah, inshallah. So let's start with the overview. Muhammad, can you read?
The final passage of the surah is mainly concerned with Zulkarnain and his 3 journeys to the east, west, and the central areas, as well as his erection of a stronger barrier to prevent Juj and Majuj from getting through the surah. The surah tells us that after he had erected the barrier, Zulkarnain said, "This is a mercy from my Lord. Yet when the time appointed by my Lord shall come, he will make this rampart level with the ground. My Lord's promise always comes true." Verse 98. The reference to the true promise is followed with the blowing of trumpet and scene of the resurrection before the surah concludes with 3 short sections, each of which starts with command say. These 3 sections sum up all the main topics of the surah and follow its drift. They serve as the final strong beats of an evenly following tune.
So what is the overview of this section we are going to read? That we are going to learn about the Zulkarnain and the Juj and Majuj, and when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's appointed time will come, then the barrier the Zulkarnain created or erected with the help of people and the material, it will be finished and they will come out. And in towards the end, again Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying say means these 3 sections sum up all the main topics of the surah. So last 3 it starts with kul means say. So so we have to know that these 3 will conclude the surah, inshallah, the main theme of the surah. So next we are going to start, let's start the story of Zulkarnain. So Zoya, can you read?
Yeah. The mysterious traveler. The story as follows. They will ask you about Zulkarnain. Say, I will give you an account of him. Verse 83. Speaking about the reasons that led to the revelation of this surah, Muhammad ibn Ishaq mentions a report attributed to Ibn Abbas, the Prophet's cousin and companion. The report mentions that the Quraysh sent al-Nadir ibn al-Harid and Uqba ibn Abi Mu'ayth to ask the Jewish rabbis in Medina about Muhammad, outlining for them their terms of reference. The Quraysh elders told the 2 men to describe Muhammad in detail to the Jewish rabbis and to report to them truthfully what he advocated. The Jews, said the Quraysh elders, are the people of early scriptures, and they have a wealth of knowledge about prophets which is not available to us.
So the story of Zulkarnain is begin with, they will ask about Zulkarnain. As we know that the Quraysh ask lots of questions, and they really want to know that, okay, is the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is the real prophet or not? Even though these question doesn't matter, whoever wants to believe will believe, they will not ask so many questions. But if they ask it and they got the answer, they should believe in that. So what you said the name, so I will correct the names, the pronunciation of the names. I will read those lines for you. Speaking about the reason that led to the revelation of this surah, Muhammad ibn Ishaq mentioned a report attribute to, that means Muhammad ibn Ishaq is telling us the hadith which is attribute to Ibn Abbas, and Ibn Abbas is the narrator. The Prophet's cousin, which is Ibn Abbas, is a Prophet's cousin and companion as well. The report mentioned that the Quraysh sent an Nadar ibn al-Harith and Uqba ibn Abi Mu'ayt. Pa. At the end, it's a pa. So, Uqba ibn Abi Mu'ayt. So, just correct the pronunciation of this. To ask the Jewish rabbis in Medina about Muhammad, outlining for them their terms of reference. So the Quraysh elders sent two men, um, told the two men to describe Muhammad in detail to the Jewish rabbis and to report to them truthfully what he advocated. And the Jews and the Quraysh elders are the people of early scriptures, and they have a wealth of knowledge about prophets which is not available to us. So and next is, and in Medina the two men in Medina, the two men from Quraysh put their questions to the rabbis and solicited their honest opinion about Muhammad. The rabbis told them to ask Muhammad three questions. So, who was the rabbis? They were the Jews leader or Jews scholars are called.
It's actually pronounced rabbi.
Sorry?
It's actually pronounced rabbi.
Rabbis? Okay, Jazakallah khair. I will correct your the names pronunciation, and you can correct my English pronunciation. Okay, rabbis. And okay, so the rabbis told them to ask Muhammad three questions. What were the three questions? If he give you satisfactory answers, then he is a prophet and messenger of God. If he has no answer to give, then he is fabricating whatever he says. You may do what you like with him. Ask him about a group of young people about whom there was a strange story in ancient times, and let him tell you what happened to them. Ask him about a man who traveled all over the place and went to the far east and far west. The third question you should ask him is to tell about the spirit, the ruh, the spirit. So rabbis ask, they know that the one prophet is going to come very soon, and in their scriptures there was written a prophet will come at this place, and his name will be Ahmad, and there were lots and lots of signs. Ahmad. In their scriptures, the Prophet Muhammad's name was written as Ahmad, and the Prophet's name is Ahmad also. His mother
was told to say.
Yes, his mother named Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam as Ahmad. So the Quraysh usually go to the scholars or of Jews or the Christians, and they want to know that, okay, give us some questions so that we should know. So that these were the three questions they asked about the Ashab al-Kahf, what we read the first story of this, and the second one is about Zulkarnain, which is like ask him about a man who traveled all over the place and went to the far east and far west. And the third question is about the spirit. The two answers is in this surah. but the answer about the spirit is, I think it's in the previous surah in Bani Israel. So next, Aline, can you read next 2 paragraphs?
Okay. Al-Nadr and Uqba traveled back to Makkah and told their tribesmen that they had brought the answer to their problem with Muhammad. When they told them of the advice of the Jewish rabbis, they went to the Prophet and put the 3 questions to him. The Prophet told them that he would answer them the following day. Apparently, he did not qualify the promise by saying God willing, as he should have done and as Muslims should always do. As a result, nothing was revealed to him for 15 days, nor did the angel Gabriel meet him during this period. The people of Makkah began to spread a fresh propaganda campaign, saying, Muhammad has promised to give us an answer on the morrow, and now it has been 15 days since we asked him, without him giving us any reply to our questions.
Read the next one as well, so I will conclude together.
Okay. The Prophet was very sad at this delay in revelation and he was much distressed by what the people of Makkah said about him. Then the angel Gabriel came down revealing the surah, the cave, which tells him in its early verses not to grieve too much for his people if they refuse to listen to him. It then proceeds to answer the questions put to him, relating the stories of the young men and the traveler of old times. He also gave the Prophet the answer to the third question about the Spirit, which occurs in Surah 17, the night journey.
Yes, Jazakallah khair. Yes, I told you that it's in Al-Isra, the night journey, Al-Isra. It's in the other surah. So what happened? The Quraysh came and asked the Prophet these questions, and the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, okay, I will answer you tomorrow. And because the revelation comes almost every day, or maybe more than a day. Yeah, it means that more than one time in a day. So the Prophet was confident that, okay, I will get answer by tomorrow, so I will answer you tomorrow. And he forgot to say, what he forgot to say?
Inshallah.
Yes, he forgot to say inshallah. So what happened, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not let angel Jibreel to go with the revelation with these answers. And it was like one day passed by, and then 2 days passed by, and the Prophet was getting worried, and then the 3, 4, 5th, and the Quraysh people was starting to ask so many questions and doubting about it. So what happened? So after 15 days, nor angel Jibril meet him during this period. So they even didn't meet to each other. So what happened? The people of Makkah began to spread a fresh propaganda, because the Meccan people wants to spread the propaganda, because they don't want Islam to be spread all over, and they don't want to be they want the Prophet to be not a true prophet from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So after 15 days, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent angel Jibreel, and because the Prophet was very sad on the delay of revelation, and he was very stressed out, so what revelation he brings? He tells the story of the cave people and the story of the Zulkarnain and about the spirit as well. But we only have the tafsir of only two answers here. Inshallah, maybe some other time in some other Quran quest quiz, we will learn about the answer about the spirit as well. Okay, so okay, Yusuf, can you read next 2 paragraphs? Yusuf?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. The Prophet was very sad at this delay in revelation.
Next to.
Another report by Ibn Abbas tells of the reason for the revelation of the verse giving the reply to the question about the Spirit. This mentions that the Jews themselves put the question to the Prophet, "Tell us about the Spirit and how the Spirit inside the body can be tortured when the Spirit belongs to God." As nothing about the Spirit has been revealed to him, he could not answer them. Jibreel came down to him with a verse stating, "Say, the knowledge of the nature of the Spirit belongs to my Lord alone. You, mankind, have been granted but little knowledge." Since there are several reports about the immediate reason behind the revelation of this surah, we prefer not to go into these, limiting our discussion to the Quranic text, which provides us with true and accurate information. On the basis of this text, we realize that a question
Is voice breaking for everyone?
a question was for certain.
Yusuf, your voice was breaking. So can you read it again from
Okay.
which provides us with true and accurate information?
Which provides us with true and accurate information. On the basis of this text, we realize that a question was asked about the name, and we do not know for certain who put the question. Knowing the questioner will not add anything about the import of the story. We will now discuss.
Okay. So what we just read about it, that there's another report that Ibn Abbas tells the reason for the revelation of the verse giving the reply to the question about the Spirit. So there's no information of Spirit is given by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and if something is given, and it is in some other surah as well. So whatever is the answer is given by for the Spirit, it's they just wrote it here. So say, the knowledge of the nature of the Spirit belong to my Lord alone. You, mankind, you have been granted but little knowledge. So no more information is given, so we cannot say, okay, the Spirit is like that, Spirit is something is like that or something like that. So we cannot say that. So whatever is the information, we don't have much information, as the verse says. So we have to be very conscious about talking about the Spirit or anything, and we should not believe on the things what people have made about the spirits. And the same way, we are going to learn about the Zulkarnain now, inshallah. So who will read? Zoya, are you there? Or Zara? Who is there? Okay.
I'm here.
Okay, can you read?
Yeah. Since there are several reports about the immediate...
From the next paragraph, please.
Okay. The Quranic text does not mention anything about the personality of Zulkarnain or where and when he lived. This is typical of Quranic stories. The intention is not to provide historic accounts, but to learn the lessons that may be derived from the stories mentioned. In most cases, these lessons can be drawn without the need to define time and place. Should I read the next one too?
Yes, please.
Documented history refers to a king called Iskandar or Alexander Zulkarnain. It is also certain that the person to whom the Quran refers by the name Zulkarnain is not the Greek king Alexander, for he was a pagan worshipping idols. While the Quran speaks about someone who believed in God's oneness and in resurrection and the life to come. In his book Al-Athar, Al-Baqiyah, and Al-Quran, Al-Khaliya al-Biruni mentions that Dhul-Qarnayn, about whom the Quran gives us this account, was a king of Himyar in Yemen. This is based on the fact that his name begins with Dhul, which is typically of Himyari kings. His actual name was Abu Bakr ibn Afrikish. He traveled at the head of his army along the southern Mediterranean coast, passing through Tunisia and Morocco, and building the town of Afrikia. Thus, the whole continent was named after him. He was nicknamed Dhul-Qarnayn because he reached as far as the two furthest points in relation to the sun.
Jazakallah khair. So I have some questions for everyone. So you can unmute yourself and then you can answer. Okay. So, what was the name of the king is described in this surah?
Alexander the Great.
Alexander, what was the name?
Iskandar.
Al-Iskandar.
His actual name?
Zulkarnain.
Iskandar.
I just read this, right? Where? It's
Khaliya. No.
I need answer.
I don't know.
Find in the paragraph. It's in the paragraph. You can.
We're not
If
supposed
Zoya
to know
read
who
that,
it is. We have that for a reason.
if Zoya read it for us, so which means we have to be very conscious about listening. That means you guys are not listening with focus. I got you.
Listen, Medium, I don't play Roblox. What's that? You know you're unmuted.
Yes, you are all unmuted. So now answer me. What is the real name, the actual name?
Iskandar.
No.
No.
It's
don't know
written
who
in
it
the
is.
paragraph. It's in the middle.
Can I answer?
Hint.
Preston. I'm trying to delete this. What the heck?
Abu Bakr ibn Afrikish.
Yes, you got it, Mohammed. Good job. So at last we have 1% who got it. So mark this.
Abu Bakr.
His name was Abu Bakr ibn Afrikish. Very difficult name. So, okay. And now one more question. Why he was named as Zulkarnain?
In relation to the sun,
No.
because he reached as far as the two furthest points in relation to the sun.
Correct. In the last two lines, he was nicknamed Zulkarnain because he reached as far as the two farthest points in relation to the sun. Did you get it now? Okay, good. So, okay. So what was written about Alexander in the
He was a pagan who worshipped idols.
He worshipped
so
idols.
was the Alexander
Yeah,
was the same
Alexander.
as Zulkarnain?
No. Zulkarnain worshipped one and only God, but
Yeah.
Alexander worshipped idols.
Yes. So did you understand about Zulkarnain? Who was Zulkarnain? What was his name and where he was from? Actually, where was he from?
Himmer in Yemen? No.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
So I like these questions because I can tell like who was listening. Okay.
Africa.
Hmm?
Africa.
No, Muhammad just said that he was a king of Himyar in Yemen.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's in the like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7th line of the paragraph. Okay.
My connection's bad.
Good job, everyone. Alhamdulillah. So this paragraph is very important regarding these questions and everything to understand who was Zulkarnain, why he was named as Zulkarnain, what was his real name, where was he from. Okay. So mark this paragraph and highlight these things, inshallah. Okay. Zara, can you read next two paragraphs?
Well, my connection's really bad.
Okay. Then Zoya's and Alim's connection is good.
This is that Muhammad keeps on watching TV 24/7.
Okay. Okay. Then you can mute. Muhammad, mute and everyone. And
It's all cracking. God.
okay. So let's. Alim will read then.
Okay. This view may be correct, but we have no means of verifying it. It is not possible to undertake research based on documented history with the aim of establishing the real personality of Zulkarnain, of whose history the Quran gives us a glimpse. The same applies to most historical accounts given in the Quran, such as those concerning the people of the prophets Noah and Hud, or the Thamud, etc. History itself is only a recent addition compared to the length of human life on earth. Great events took place in the periods preceding what history reports, and these remain unknown to historians. Hence, we cannot refer to them for answers.
Okay. Good job, Alim. Jazakallah khair. Can you explain this paragraph?
So we can't really like we have no way of like pinpointing the stuff like the history of Zulkarnain because the Quran only gives us a glimpse, and we can't go to historians because they only have the reports that have been reported down in history. They don't have all of the info.
Good job. Barakallah fi. Okay. Zoya, can you read the next one?
Yeah.
No, not this one.
Needless to say, it is wrong to try to evaluate the Quran with reference to history.
Next paragraph. Adim just read this one.
Wait, this thing?
No. Upar.
What?
Had the Torah
What?
remained intact, this.
Had the Torah remained intact without distortion or addition, it would have been a reliable source of information concerning some of these events. But the Torah has been mixed with legends that have, without doubt, no foundation. It has been infused with reports that have most certainly been added to the original text revealed by God. Hence, the Torah cannot be treated as a reliable source for the historical accounts it contains. Thus, the only source left for us is the Quran, since God has guaranteed its preservation in its original form and its protection against any distortion. It is indeed the only source for its historical accounts. Needless to say, it is wrong to try to evaluate the Quran with reference to history. There are two obvious reasons for this. The first is the fact that history is a recent creation which has missed countless events in mankind's progress. The Quran tells us some of these events which remain totally unknown to history and historians.
Okay, Jazakallah. So, which book we can trust?
The Quran.
The Quran. We can't
Why?
even trust the Torah.
Because Allah.
Why?
Because it's
Because
Allah's
there
word.
is
Yes, but Torah was also was Allah's word. Why we cannot believe?
Because people changed it.
yeah.
Okay, so
And nobody changed the Quran.
okay. there are two obvious reasons for this. The first is the fact that history is recent creation which has missed countless events in mankind's progress. The Quran tells us some of these events which remains totally unknown to history or historian. So whatever the Quran is telling us, maybe in history you will not find the Zulkarnain, and there are so many other nations and the people which are unknown by everyone. Nobody knows them. This was a saying of Quran as well. So nobody knows like what other nations was Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has destroyed, or Allah gives punishment to them. Okay, the secondly on the next page, Mama, can you read?
Secondly, even though history may record some of these events, it remains the product of human beings. Thus, it suffers from the shortcomings of human action, such as imperfection, error, distortion, etc. In our own time, when means of communication and faculties of verification facilities of verification have become available in plenty, we find the same piece of news or the same incident reported in a variety of ways, each looking at it from a particular angle and giving it a different interpretation. It is out of such heaps of confusion that historical accounts are made regardless of what may be said about research and verification. Hence, whatever is said about referring to history in order to evaluate the accounts given in Quran cannot be admitted on the basis of scientific rules adopted by people, let alone by Islam, which states clearly that Quran is the final arbiter. Such reference to history cannot be advocated by a believer in the Quran or in scientific research. It is no more than useless polemic.
Yes. So what is the second reason? Second, even though history may record some of these events, it remains the product of human beings. So whenever the people created, okay, दरवाजा बंद कर. Okay. So what is the second? That the people knows about some of the history events, and sometimes when you want to watch a story about Musa alayhi salam or some other prophets or anything, so you will find there is a lots of Jews and the Christians stories are also on the YouTubes, and there is a lots of addition of people's thoughts and everything. Whatever they got to know, they just put it inside the story. They didn't even realize that it's true or not. So they just make up all the stories. So but what we are believing only on the Quran's information, whatever the Quran is telling us, and whatever is the information is given in the hadith, we are just believing in that. So that is the final book for us, and that is where we are going to focus on the stories as well. So alhamdulillah, we have completed our target. So we will be completed here. So I have an announcement for the boys team. Yeah, only for the boys team. Sorry,
Okay.
maybe later I will add this, but for the boys team. So I think you are going to meet on Saturday for the practice, at someone's house. I don't confirm. Maybe Yusuf's house. I don't not confirm yet. So
Okay.
the boys team will be tested by the parent, one of the parent of Isa or Yusuf. Okay, and the
Okay.
whoever will perform good will get $10 gift card of Roman Cafe. So I hope you will be excited and you really want to win that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, because winning is winning. So as a team you have to win, and as individually you have to win, so that you can. Yes. Individually, you will when one of the parent will answer the question, you have to who will give more answers and who will participate more, who will give the correct answers definitely will win. The parent can tell you. So please practice well. And the girls team, inshallah, I will try to make up a meeting for you as well for Saturday, inshallah. Then I will test you there, and then you will get your $10 gift card as well. Inshallah. Okay, girls? Zoya, Zara, are you listening?
Yeah.
Okay, let's complete and finish our meeting today. Inshallah, we'll meet tomorrow. And
Okay.
yeah, tomorrow is Thursday. We are our last
Okay.
meeting of the week, inshallah. And then
Okay.
we'll meet in person on Saturday. Okay, Jazakumullahu khairan kaseera. Barakallahu feekum. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika. Ashhadu an la
Nice green
ilaha
screen.
illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.